Boom. All right, good to see everybody. So not sure if Jose is here yet, but we will allow him to, I know he's trying, he's in the Amazon, but it's good to see everybody's faces. In fact, Frank, weren't you the one last month that said you were about to go? Have you been since we saw you last? So everybody, when you speak, you're going to have to unmute yourself. You think because you've been to the Amazon, you no longer.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm going in 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Sorry
So
about
it
that.
still hasn't happened yet. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
I was just
yeah.
practicing, see if my memory was still working. So
Very
that's
good.
you see it. We're connected now. So anyway, everybody, welcome.
This is my mum.
Your mom? Where?
Pam's my mum. Say hi.
I will. Oh, hey, Pam. Wow. So that means that Billy is human. That's a good thing. We realize that now. Pam, are you okay with unmuting yourself for a second on the bottom left of your phone? Just unmute. Can you do that for a sec so I can just ask you a question? Are you there?
I think so. Can you hear me?
Of course, Pam is a young, beautiful woman. So Pam, this is what it looks like to look at a bunch of human beings that love your son and have had a wonderful experience that he was connected to. So, you know, this is your opportunity, everybody, to thank the creator of Billy. There it is, right? So, but what I love to hear is tell us something wonderful about Billy from a mother's perspective. Let's hear it.
Oh my goodness, JC, what are you doing?
So what I'm really proud about is that Billy has really stepped out and gone down the route that he feels really passionate about. And he's living that and he's exemplifying it. And I feel really proud of that because I think there are a lot of people who don't really have the guts to do it. Maybe they think about it, but they find that things come in the way. But Billy's just gone for it. And I'm really proud of that because he's really following his passion and he's doing something that means a lot to him. And that means a lot to me.
That is just amazing and beautiful. And as uncomfortable as that is to Billy, to hear your mother talk and see how wonderful you are. Everybody here is saying it makes total sense why Billy is the way he is, because he has a mother that allows him to be. So Pam, you know, here's to you. On Billy's birthday, we're going to call you and thank you. How about that? Thanks so much for sharing.
Thank you.
So in any case, everybody, we're excited to be able to have Jose, you know, the Chief Dharma Officer of Arkana, join us. But as you know, fate would have it, he's somewhere in the jungle. So we're gonna kick this off for what it is meant to be anyway, because we're gonna meet every month in this format for, you know, friends of Arkana, but also anybody that's ever, you know, ventured into this, you know, realm of sitting with plant medicine and exploring it. You know, a lot of people are going to come to this gathering as just with curiosity, you know, wanting to learn more about it. You know, there's no better way to learn about something than to meet the people that are affiliated with it. But, you know, in case you don't know who I am, my name's Dr. JC Doornick. You know, my life's forever been changed as a result of it. You know, I've had a pretty extraordinary life already, but I just found myself, you know, spending 4 years looking into this, and finally I was guided towards this amazing, you know, just unique experience that many of you guys have experienced in I went to the, you know, Amazon in Peru and had just a breakthrough experience with my friend Bruce there with Arkana at the Arkana Spiritual Center. And, you know, this is my my co-host today, and he's just somebody that I met there, but we've just become wonderful, wonderful friends, and to the point now where I know his mom. Actually, I'm just realizing that. But I just want everybody to meet, somebody that you probably already know, but this is a very unique individual that has a lot of experience in the realm of working with plant medicine and also just communicating with humans and guiding them through this amazing journey. And that is, we'll call him Billy V, so we don't destroy his last name in front of his mom. So Billy, do you have any thoughts you want to just share as we start this integration mastermind here?
I'm actually just going to say thank you to everybody for turning up. Because I can see all of you beautiful people. Even oddly, my girlfriend who's next door, who I left the room because it's 2 a.m. She's also on the call. And yeah, just for all showing up, because it's a willingness. It shows a willingness to do the work, to be part of a community, to be a better person, and to do the integration work, which is, for me, almost the most important part. I think doing plant medicine is actually laying the foundation to build what you do want. And you're all here, so you're willing to do it to better yourselves and to create the life that you would love to live. So thank you all for being here.
Awesome. Well, I second everything that he just said. And, I do want to lay a little bit of the foundation for the creation of this. But at the same time, I will just from time to time say, Jose, if you are here, just unmute yourself and let us know if you're here, because he's going to try to tune in from his phone probably. And if I know him, he's probably making his way somewhere where there's better internet or something like that. So anyway, let's get into it either way. I mean, just it's so unique and special to have all of you here, and we'll take advantage of having Billy here as well. When we go through this experience, there's so many different phases of it. There's the deep breath before the plunge, like Frank is somebody that came to our integration huddle last month and said he's getting ready. He's going in two weeks. Some people are excited for Frank and jealous of Frank, and some people would probably say, good luck, Frank, and then there's people that have had their first experience, then there's seasoned veterans. But when I reached out to Billy, because Billy's a very unique individual, because he's got a lot of perspective on this, we just kind of saw a void, perhaps, or an opportunity for growth, where, and Billy just said it, he says, the actual experience of going there is very often just the foundation, laying the foundation for the work. And it's interesting for those of you that have experienced working with plant medicine, what that means. It's like you all of a sudden uncover this world within this world, and you know something that most people don't know. But how much of the equation of what it is that you were looking for does that solve? So I started playing with this idea of like, it was just the tip of the iceberg, the rest of it is the work that we have to do. And Billy and I spend quite a lot of time talking about that work, the iceberg. So when we looked at, Arkana's mission, Arkana is a place that is very, very adamant on, not just making this like a vacation and a jacuzzi experience, but guiding people to, experience a pivotal experience. And we learn about the 7 Ps, and, Billy went over that last week. By the way, if any of you are coming here for the first time, we have Facebook groups, and we're going to start a Telegram account where everybody can kind of commune together and get recordings of all these things. We have plans to build a big community. So what I would tell you in that sense is just reach out to either Billy or myself. If through social media, you can find me at Dr. JC Doornick on Instagram. That might be easier. And then Billy, I don't know what Billy's, I actually call him Billy Andy, because while I was there, I called him Andy all the time. And it wasn't until the end of the trip that he said, hey, by the way, my name's Billy. So, so that's kind of a funny story. But anyway, reach out to both of us. Billy, maybe you can put your contact in the chat thread. And then we'll, as we progress with building this community, we'll add you to it. But anyway, and this is something that Jose is very passionate about as well. Not just making this thing, like very often people are just going out there and experiencing plant medicine, which alone is amazing, but making it this pivotal experience. So Billy and I had this idea of bringing people together at least once a month in this environment where sometimes we'll have a guest if they can connect. Sometimes it might not work out, but we've got very, very big plans to help you guys kind of grow and continue the process of finding, some answers to some questions, but also creating the groundwork for a place to actually do the work and reconnect. Like, for instance, for me, to see Bruce show up here, because Bruce was there when I was there, like that's a big deal. I don't know how many of you can see somebody right now that was maybe on, your journey. So Aaron, I mean, obviously everybody knows Billy, but that kind of brings me back there. And last month, and Billy remembers this, he came on this Zoom and he was almost speechless at first, because just imagine what it's like for him to see all your faces and just recall like all of these breakthroughs. So the community aspect's going to be huge, but we want to create the foundation for doing some work. So Billy, without any preparation, because we had plans to host Jose today, and we will get that done. Maybe that'll be in a couple of weeks or in the next month. So we will continue. But Billy right now is wondering when I'm going to ask him. But one thing I can tell you is Billy will have an answer when I ask him a question. So here, and then I want to break up and allow people to ask questions and share insights and maybe get some answers, because that goes fast in an hour. So Billy, just speak a little bit from your perspective on, maybe why it is that people struggle to take this experience, this uncovering, this knowledge that they have when they work with plant medicine, and very often people do it all the time. What is it about it that makes people struggle to integrate it? I mean, because you can know how to integrate it, but what is it about it that makes people struggle to integrate it into this hypothetical real world or baseline world? And maybe from your perspective, what is it that people need to do to actually execute it, rather than go over all the things they need to execute? So load that into your mainframe and let's see what happens.
Yeah. I think the difficulty starts the moment that you leave. The moment, for example, that you leave one of the centers, because at the center, one, you're working directly with the medicine, so you have the medicine in your system and you're very connected to that. You're also in a space where you're kind of free, where it's almost like a bubble, away from the stimuli of the outside world, and you're with people that you've bonded with, who are supporting you. You obviously have us who are guiding you the whole time, in a very particular way. So you almost like turn up and do the work, but it's easy to do because you're there, and you're there to do it. But as soon as you leave, you go to a ketos, and then you get bombarded, and you get bombarded by, I mean, like all sorts of stimuli and people. And I say to, like, let's take the diet post dieta as part of integration, because to for example, to eat a healthier diet or a clean diet is part of being a healthy human being. So you could consider that as part of your integration process of bettering yourself, your physical function, your brain function, etc. And it doesn't just have to be you're having that diet because you're drinking the medicine. So let's just take the diet as part of integration. Well, then you go to a restaurant and you see a menu, or you go to the airport after a ketos and what do you eat? So these challenges are, you face these challenges as soon as you leave, and then you return back home, which is the same environment that you came from. You go to the same job, you're with the same people, you watch the same news, and slowly you fall back into a pattern of behavior that was the pattern of behavior that was before you even got there in the first place. You start eating the same things, and then you're the same person. So the challenges are in everyday things, as simple as the choice that you make to the food that you eat, the things that you pay attention to, the people that you surround yourself with, just everything. And it's very difficult. Like, honestly, I know when I first came to Arkana, I came back and when I was a guest, and I came back and my friends had a stag do, which is a bachelor's party. So I was literally like put in an environment where there was alcohol. And if I'm going to be really honest, there was alcohol, there was drugs around, and lots of different, and some of those people are people that I wouldn't necessarily connect with so much now, based on these behaviors, but that was my friends, my environment, and my life. So you're going back to your life prior to Arkana, but obviously during Arkana, you start to remember who you are, and also you get these insights which are up to you to act upon. That's obviously integration, and integration's a verb. It's a doing word. I've been recently thinking about the word integrate as into great. So how integrate, step into great, is an action. It's a doing thing. And yeah, so what can you do? What you can do is exactly that, is to do it. And that's to make nobody can live life for you. Like, nobody's going to hold your hand. Like, let's be real. Nobody's going to hold your hand and do something. You have to choose. You have to choose yourself to take action, and not just any action. Like, I listened to Tony Robbins. He says massive action. Or I read a book recently called the 10 times rule, which is like, it's all about like massive action. That's not to say you need to make drastic changes. That's just like make consistent, mindful action persistently, in alignment to your newfound insights or the person that you would like to become. Whether that's, if you would like to learn an instrument, start doing that weekly and do it persistently, on a weekly basis over time, and you will learn that instrument. So then you'll be a musician, and then over time you master that thing. So the hardships are endless, and they exist in everyday life. It's nothing new and out there. It's like in the menial things. It's the getting up and having to step out into the world and be bombarded with everything that we are, all the different I can't think of the word because it's 2 a.m, but like it's not even stimulus, it's like what word am I thinking of, JC? It's like anyway, yeah, it's just being bombarded by all these things that, like, desires that are trying to get you to but you just have to make the choice, and that's the difference, is making the choice to change, and that's it. Yeah, distractions, exactly.
And dimensions, yeah. Here's something that you just brought to my mind. Mastermind. If you think about it, we've got some people here that might be, like Frank, or some people even in the contemplative phase of going to do this. And if you think about what Frank is doing right now, he's preparing for it. You know, he's hopefully taking the dieta seriously, and he's probably read everything. He's taking life very, very seriously because he's preparing for this unknown. And one of the things that we were all instructed to do, and remember, the first time you've ever had an experience like this, you take it serious because there's some fear associated with it. You don't want to mess it up, right? So just look at the analogy of the difference between how you went there and how you came back. So we all went there with, like, we're taking notes about intentions and the outcome that we desire. And we were building this North Star of this like hope for answers to questions and all of that stuff. And we go there, and that's probably with a little help from the amazing facilitators, the shamans, the environment, the medicine, you know, all of that stuff, the people that you meet, the jacuzzi, we execute and we have this experience. But on the outset of it, you've had the experience. What was your preparation and intention when you went home? Can you guys all agree? I mean, I'm just speaking from my own experience and people that I've spoken to, that in large part, we go home hoping that we'll be able to like continue it, or hoping that we'll be able to integrate it. So one of the things that I loved about the experience and why I became so passionate about this is I looked at those, you know, 7 Ps that Billy, you know, shared and was created by Jose. I mean, like, they were very passionate about saying like, hey, listen, you know, this is not, I remember Jose told me something one time, because my first experience was like, oh my God, I saw a spaceship and, you know, and all this stuff. And I got like all excited about this, the visuals. And just in his real calm way, by the way, I've seen him try to get in here a couple of times. He's trying. He said to me, he goes, you know, when you're in the medicine, he says, you'll see and experience all these things that are like kind of fun and wacky. He goes, but, you know, that's not necessarily, like, he says, go in deeper and do the work, right? And that's when I started to really get it. And I used to start asking questions and all that. But my point is this: when we come home, it's almost like carrying a Bible next to your bed, like thinking that it protects you. It's like we come home and the real work really happens. So that's kind of why we wanted to create this space, to be able to drop these things in front of you so that you can go, huh, right? Just kind of like say, ooh, that's a good point, right? Forgot about that. And then from that space, like you did when you went to the experience, create new intentions, build this new North Star, because you're different. You're different now. You have new tools, you have new perceptions and things like that. So we can start to sculpt and move towards this new thing. I think a lot of us maybe forget about doing that, or maybe it gets washed up on the tides of life and things like that. So what I would love to do, Billy, is I want to stimulate a little bit of interaction with everybody. But any final notes on this topic before we get into that? And if we see Jose come in, we'll bring him to the front. Anything before we get in that?
Yeah. This is for Frank, for example, who is going in to the experience, and everybody for the integration after the experience, during the experience. This is life experience. This is for life, which is just to be lighthearted. I was sharing with somebody earlier that to be enlightened is to be in light, and to have light in your heart. So to be lighthearted, which is essentially to live from love and live and experience joy. So to be enlightened then is to live from love and experience joy. So be lighthearted. Like we share in the integration, one of the integration talks, it doesn't, like, it essentially, it doesn't have to be heavy. This doesn't have to be solemn work. Like, the whole purpose of this is that you remember who you are as a child of the universe, or like a star child, a child of the light, child of love. And then you live the life you would love to live. And that's different for everybody. So live the life you would love to create, obviously. And you do that by identifying what that looks like to you and then acting upon it. And but do it with a light heart. Do it with love in your heart for yourself and for others. Be kind to yourself. And that's not, you're going to have moments where you feel down, or you don't feel good, or you feel like you've made the wrong choice, or you're not aligned. And just be gentle with yourself, like be gentle with the child within. Nurture the child within always. Sometimes I say, like, if you could imagine having the 3-year-old you sat next to you, like, how would you treat that child? Would you support it? Would you encourage it? Would you show it compassion? How would you guide that? And you are that. So be that to yourself. Be that to yourself always, not just in the integration process after, but before you go into these things, during these things, and after. Just be lighthearted and be childlike, be playful, and with love in your heart. That's it.
That's why Billy is my integration coach, right? Because, like, I always just go off on these tangents, and then he just says, hey, maybe you should just chill out a little bit. He's awesome. I see somebody asked in the chat, will the recording be shared anywhere? So we're trying to figure that out. That's another reason why we're working closely with Jose, because he's got such a massive vision, and we can't wait for him to share some of that with you guys. So you know that there's a Friends of Arkana Facebook group, but we also are creating like a Facebook group for this until we maybe just integrate it into the Friends of Arkana. So I will put I'll put that in the chat there. But what we're going to do with recordings and stuff like that is we'll create like a library of them, which will, you'll be able to see yourself. And we're going to build, hopefully sometime this week. Just make sure you're connected to us somehow. And we're going to build like a Telegram account, which is like a free account where we could all just communicate with each other. So if you're here, join the Friends of Arkana Facebook group a week ago, but haven't been approved yet. Isn't that a funny process? Like, it doesn't mean that you're a bad person. You just nobody's seen it yet. That's all. So I'll put in the chat a Facebook group that we're building, that you will get approved today. And it's like, you'll definitely get approved. So that was great. What Billy was just saying, and we just want to move into a place now where take advantage. Even keep in mind it's 2:30 a.m. where Billy is. He's in Bali. Billy's in Bali, with his beautiful girlfriend. So his brain is fresh, but it's a 2 a.m. brain. So what we want to do is we want to open it up, because you could in the mastermind, which is just like-minded people looking to grow. You can ask questions about integration. Billy's a great resource. He's got more experience than anybody I know. You could ask questions about the retreat, or you could just give an insight, something that you want to share that might be helpful for the group. The only rules of the mastermind is that it's a solution-focused group. And here's what that means. It doesn't mean that you're not allowed to complain about things in life, but what we try to do in this environment for the better of the mastermind is speak about things in a solution-focused way, right? Like, rather than saying, man, I suck at this, we could say, here's what I'm working on, right? Just a simple little tweak. Because this is a group of like-minded people that are all heart-driven servants that are open and curious to more. It's a very, very safe environment, a psychological safe haven. So I'll put the chat in the chat there, but we have the technology here in the bottom. You can click reactions and raise your little Bart Simpson yellow hand, or you could just raise your human. And I'd love to hear from some of you guys. But once again, if you're new to this group and you want to ask a question, feel free to do so. So do I pick someone, or somebody want to raise their hand? There you go. I don't know why, but I knew it was going to be her. And then Frank, you'll go next. I'll keep track. So go ahead. Greer, Greer's iPad. We saw you last time, right? Go ahead. You got to unmute yourself, bottom left.
All right. Hopefully you can hear me this time. Last time it didn't work. So
Yeah,
that's why I raised my hand again this time. Can you guys...
outside on like a mountain or something last time, right?
Yeah, I was trying to be in a beautiful spot. And so hopefully you guys can hear me this time. But so first off, thank you guys for doing this. I appreciate it very much. I had my 3rd trip to Arkana this last summer. And I was privileged enough to be there with Billy the summer before. And so the solution that I need help with is that I have trauma that is still ongoing on a daily basis, meaning I'm dealing with people in my life that I cannot prune. And like just as recently as last week, I was assaulted again by my soon-to-be ex-husband, and he's abusing my children. And I'm trying very hard to integrate everything that I've learned. And I know that I'm an exponentially better person for having gone to Arkana, but how do I make the space for myself to do my own integration while I'm daily having to almost re-deal with the traumas that I've gone to Arkana to deal with, if that makes sense. I'm just hoping that Billy or somebody has some great words for me, because it's a little bit of a unique situation. I can deal with my traumas from the past. I've let go of those, honestly, from Arkana. But these ongoing traumas that I've had to come back and deal with, it's not just real life, it's actual ongoing trauma. So I want to get to the other side of that, but I cannot prune some of the things that are causing those traumas. I have to deal with the father of my children. I have to deal, obviously, with what's going on with my children. So I'm just looking for if there's any great pearls of wisdom for that.
So before I'd love to hear Billy's insight on this if he's up for it. But you know, one thing we don't try to do here is fix things, right? So that we all naturally have the hero in us that wants to swoop in and save her from things that are in large part out of her control. The only thing that I would say, there's certain people in our lives that I have created a name for, and I call them flow burglars. This is kind of a fun way to look at these people. You know, we're all in search of flow, right? We all want to get into our own version of whatever that is. But there's some people that, for whatever reason, the universe puts in our lives, and their job is to steal your flow, right? So you go through this, you know, ebb and flow of, you know, thinking it's happening to you, and you try to take the work that you've done and overcome it and stuff like that. All I would say that I do is I just take this, my part of my integration work is just changing my perspective on things. That's the only thing that I can say. When there's a constant, you know, perception of a negative in my life, rather than trying to figure out how to fix it, get rid of it or whatever, because that doesn't always work, right? What I do is I just change the way I look at things. And that's how the things I look at change. That's what Wayne Dyer said. So that's the only pearl that I can give you. But Billy, you know, you've got a lot more experience on this. What do you do when you go home and your intention is to prune, to minimize, simplify, and, you know, some of the branches just keep growing back?
Yeah. Your situation is pretty difficult. Like that's a difficult one, because that's the situation you're in is less easy to prune because it's so close. It's not like you can turn the TV off or change the channel. Because with other things, like if you think like we're like our imagination, or like what we create from is just like our reality is like a channel, and we can change the channel to create a new reality. With your situation, you almost can't do that because there's also somebody there with a control. So they're like flicking it back into the same. So you can feel stuck to some degree. And also it's hard to keep yourself in like a high frequency. High frequency is like a place of love or gratitude or compassion, when you almost have like a weight, like a weight pulling you down. And no matter how hard you'll try to fly, that weight will feel like that's constantly pulling you down. I can almost only so that's really tricky. What I would say is, one, because you have had these experiences, it will actually, so for example, that you could have been going through these experiences without the knowledge that you have now, and without, like, for example, this community, and you would be almost in like, that would be almost much harder to not deal with, because it's always hard to deal with, but now you have tools, is what I'm saying, whereas you didn't have tools before. Now, like, and you have this community also. So while you go through this process and on this journey that you're going on, the plus side, because the only way to get through this is like, every thought you ever have comes from fear or love, right? And this is like, how do you, in those moments of feeling intense, or like feeling a state of fear or anything that comes with it, how do you stay aligned with love? And because of your experiences, obviously, with the medicine, and you know that there's a different reality, and you have this community. So do things as much as you can to constantly align yourself from that space, and trust in the process. Like, trust is a word we use, as you all know, constantly. Like, there is no mistake. The universe is perfect just the way that it is. And trust, we trust the shamans, trust the facilitators, and trust yourself. You have got this. Like, so just do as many things as you can to stay aligned with love, trust the process, and yeah, I mean, like, it's almost, that's a very difficult situation, but it's not a forever situation. So just have faith that it will be over. And although it's a challenge now, if you want to fly, let go of what's holding you down, right? So there's going to come a time, hopefully soon, where you're really able to fly. And actually, while I'm thinking about this, and this is the last thing I'll say, because otherwise I'll keep on talking as new ideas come to my head, is I read something about nirvana recently, which is it's about shadows and light and duality in life. And you don't know nirvana unless you know suffering. So the example it gives is, if you stand on a thorn, it hurts, and that's suffering. But if you take the thorn out, the peace you get is an experience of nirvana. So although you might feel heaviness or suffering in here and now, know that when the time comes, the duality says, or the balance of life says, that will be an experience of nirvana in your life, and like, and you'll feel free to fly. So you can use that actually as like fuel to really propel yourself forward, once you've obviously let go of this person that is dragging you down somewhat.
Yeah, and
Thank-
patience is a big
Yeah.
one. Toleration is a tough thing to swallow in life, right? But you know, the analogy that I always use is right now you have what I call a pebble in your shoe. You know, and what we all do if we're on our way somewhere and we feel a pebble in our shoe, the first thing we do is wiggle our foot around until we don't feel it anymore. Right, everybody? That's what you do. And then you keep walking, but then it pops up again and it pops up. And it's not until that pebble creates like an open wound in our foot do we actually stop and take the friggin' shoe off and get rid of the pebble. So you'll do that when you're ready, you know, and maybe your process, like a lot of us, is to just realize that you can do that, you know. So once again, doing the work with the tools, this is a great example because you guys all have your own version of that pebble in your shoe. That's the idea, is you don't come to this community for an answer, you come for the next step, you know, and that's what life's all about, right? Moving along. Great share. Thanks for sharing with us. Keep coming back and, you know, keep us posted when you make breakthroughs. You know, if the pebble is like between your toes next time and it doesn't hurt, let us know. We'd love to know that as well. Frank, did you want to say something?
Yes, thank you. Just a couple things. I'm coming October 1st, I'm coming to Sacred Valley, so I'm really looking forward to it. I've been prepping for a long time. I'm a veteran. I had a traumatic brain injury, so I have some memory issues. And one of the things that I am concerned about with my integration is remembering some of the things that I'm learning while I'm there. And so I've been keeping a journal. And I sketch. I'm a visual person, so I do a lot of sketching as well. But I think I'm going to need something more than just a journal for my afterwards. And so I'm thinking I want to take a video journal with me, and just shoot some video to talk afterwards. And so I can put because I know I have an idea what's going to be going on. I'm just going to be flooded with information. I won't be able to get all words won't come to me. And the words that will be very few that I'll get on paper. So I'll have images that I'll try and sketch. That'll be great. But then a month or 2 or 3 months from now or whatever, I don't know if they'll make sense to me or not. And so that's why I'm wondering about recording into video. One, if that will help, if others have found that to help, or if that's a suggestion that you might recommend. And then with that, I'll just throw an added question on. I am a vet with some injuries. I do work with some other vets on a voluntary thing, with a program called PJ Hope that we use golf to help incorporate veterans who are kind of shut-ins and kind of not with society all the time. We get together. And so I'm hoping that I'll be able to use some of the things I learned down in Arkana to bring that back with my fellow vets to help them deal with everyday life as well. That's one of my goals, one of my intentions going down there. And so those are a couple of things I just want to do. And I'll just kind of be quiet and listen up to whoever and whatever you might have to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Frank. And very excited to hear what happens, you know, at your experience. Kyle, I saw you raise your hand. Was that because you wanted to respond to Frank, or was it a separate question? Kyle?
Oh, sorry, separate.
Okay, so we'll get to you next. So just recognize that this doesn't have to be JC and Billy answering every question. Did anybody awaken and have okay, go ahead, Melissa. Perfect.
So I just came back from Sacred Valley for my second experience with plant medicine, and I will absolutely let you know the altitude sickness is no joke. You're over 2 miles in altitude. So if you spent some time in Denver, New Mexico, it's much worse than that. So you can't really compare. So I would say physically do prepare yourself, because that will Maestro Misael really helped me with, because even him living there and being native, he still experiences altitude sickness. So just eliminating that physical hindrance will really help you mentally. As far as video, I don't believe you're permitted in the temple because that's a very sacred place. But when you're journaling, I do suggest that you journal as much as you can physically, but of course there's going to be so much that's going on in your mind. You don't want to lose that, like you were expressing concern about. Absolutely. I've done audio journals afterwards just to make sure I don't lose it and it doesn't just become this like repetitive, regurgitated dream that I had. So you definitely want to journal and not lose it because, you know, the first time my husband and I went to the Amazon back in February, and even recalling those moments almost 7 months ago has faded quite a bit. And I go back into my journal and I listen to my audio and I'm like, oh, there are those little tidbits that I didn't remember, or my perspective was different at the time. And now it kind of helps me. So for you, Frank, right? I would say definitely be prepared physically, but also, yes, you're going to experience and see and try to understand so much going on that, yeah, absolutely use your audio, write things down, and take time. That is such a beautiful setting. It's so much different than the Amazon. It's different. And I would say for me, it was a lot more, it was easier for me to start my integration even after each ceremony in Sacred Valley. So you'll have a lot of, I feel like, at least for me, there was a little bit more time for me to process in between ceremonies than there was in the Amazon. The Amazon is very intense, just everything is alive. And so on top of all the energetic flow and everything you're experiencing, it's just nonstop. But in Sacred Valley, there's more time to flow. So use that time to be able to get everything out and journal, because it sounds like that's something that is really important for you. And it really should be for everyone anyway, but that's definitely what I would suggest just to help. But the altitude sickness, seriously.
Give yourself a few days, at least a few days ahead of time to accommodate. Yeah.
That's awesome. Right now, Frank's going, shit, I didn't know about that. You know, another fun thing to do that I did, just because I heard through the grapevine that when we're in ceremony, you're not allowed to do this and that, and also that it's very dark. So what I started to do was, I'm big on journaling, Frank. So I started to practice journaling in the pitch black. And I will have to, I'm writing a book from that journal sometime, which is really interesting, because what I did is, while I was in the medicine, I wrote everything down. What's funny is you'll write something down and think you go to the next page, but it's like 6 pages of blank, and then you're writing again. But I have that journal now to recall all of these things that happen. So whether it's, you know, Melissa's advice or that, just have fun with it. And then Billy, I'd love you to chime in on maybe his other question about, you know, what his intentions are, but maybe just have fun with it. Maybe, you know, Billy can't kind of open that door before. Maybe just go with the flow and, you know, not worry so much about documenting it or something like that. Maybe that's going to be part of your experience as well. Billy?
Okay, so they're going to tell you not to journal during ceremony, so ignore JC.
But Frank, it's black. Nobody could see me.
Although I did that when I was a guest as well. So try not to journal during ceremony. I will, like, so if I'm being really honest, some people do it. It's easier in the jungle because there's a corridor and you can kind of go down and there's a space. In the Sacred Valley, the bathrooms are actually in the temple, so there's nowhere to go to kind of go and journal. It's a smaller space and a more limited space. during ceremony. But the reason why, or one of the reasons why they say don't or try not to journal during ceremony is because it becomes a distraction. And when you're journaling, you're focusing on something that has just been rather than the present moment where there's new insight. And that's a continuous process as you're in the medicine. But as soon as the ceremony is over, journal as much as you can. And like Melissa says, like the schedule in the Sacred Valley is much more relaxed. And there's places where like it's a smaller center, so you can kind of like there's places where you can sit and kind of just chill actually in regular periods. So use those as opportunities. You're welcome to record, to do audio recordings. You can video record yourself, and you can video record obviously around the center, just not during ceremonies. So yeah, just journal, audio journal, and do that as much as you possibly can. And in terms of intentions, that's really for you. I would say go in with like maybe 3 intentions, or one of my because in the Sacred Valley there's only 3 ayahuasca ceremonies, and then it's a San Pedro ceremony. But go in with San Pedro with an intention too. I personally love, and I have had some of my best ceremonies with the intention of show me what I need to see, and just let the medicine guide you. That's one of my favorite intentions, because you're talking about a plant spirit, if you like, which is almost infinitely intelligent. Like, so what that can teach you or reveal to you is sometimes more than what you might consider in the first place. So that's always for me a good intention. Otherwise, you can go in with like 3 or 4 intentions, take one to each ceremony. For some people, all their intentions get answered in the first ceremony. That's happened many times. For some people, it takes the last ceremony. And also understand that no matter what your intention is, the medicine will show you what you need, not necessarily what you want. And be open to like interpretation. Like, ask yourself, like, what, I mean, in life, what is this showing me? Like, what is for me to learn from this? But in terms of intentions, maybe, yeah, go in with like 3 specific main ones, and just be open to receive the lessons that you receive.
It's a lot cooler than ChatGPT, I can tell you that, when you ask this question. So we have about 6 minutes left. Excited to hear from you on the other side, Frank. Does anybody else have a question or an insight before we close out? We always want to be mindful of getting done on time, especially because it's in the middle of the night for Billy. Anybody have something else they want to share? Nicholas, go ahead, bud.
Sure. Just on the also the physical aspect of integration. I know if a lot of you guys follow Dieta, I would recommend it if you take the time and the dedication to put into your body and feel energetically what's happening, and then through the dedication during the week or 2, however long you go through Arkana, the integration afterward is extremely important, and it's noticeable. I recommend following it and then feeling afterwards what you're putting in your body. I dropped 15 pounds through that week and a half 7 months ago, clean through that process, and just shed. It's not just a spiritual and mental cleansing, it's a physical cleansing as well. And I shed 15 pounds and have kept it off for 7 months now without even trying as hard, just keeping mindful of what I'm eating and energetically. So just want to throw that out there for you guys.
Can I just add to that? Is like,
I'll throw out there real quick too. In the preparation, I've quit smoking in the last 3 months. And this has been helping me. This has driven me to it. So part of the drive to get me down there.
Yeah. So what I wanted to add to that is that when you if you drink ayahuasca, for example, you're putting a foreign substance in your body that obviously alters your chemical state or your biochemical state to reveal these insights, or like you have these profound experiences. But and we call that medicine. But actually all food is medicine. And everything that you put in your body alters your biochemical state to some level. It might be very subtle, you don't even feel it. But like anything, like ayahuasca, psilocybin, like anything, this is all let thy medicine be thy food and thy food be thy medicine. This is where medicine actually comes from, is what you put into your body. So listen to that and try to eat medicine food for your body as your temple.
You know, first of all, I look forward to this. I really look forward to being with people like you, because another piece of it is like, no matter how much work we put into this, you know, there's many more people that are not aware of this than us. So, you know, just as from the standpoint of, and from a place of gratitude, very, very grateful that you guys were all here and that we can come fill our cup, and just know that Billy and I have a lot of plans to do a lot of fun stuff. I want to address, even though we're about to go over time, Kyle asked a question. This is actually a really interesting question. He says, does anyone experience solipsism, which I believe means like coming home after this and being self-centered and selfish? Am I right, Kyle?
A little different, but
Okay,
it's
so
more like
explain it the way you interpret it, because I think it's a fascinating thing that people experience, where sometimes I found myself looking at others in a way that I shouldn't have, because they have no idea. You know, go ahead. What were you thinking?
I apologize. I know we're over time, but it was more like the experience is super helpful with being able to step back in a really, really big way. But I feel like sometimes, I don't know if anyone's get this experience where they step so far back that it almost feels a little bit scary. And I was just curious, that was something, but that might be a discussion for a different time, because I know we're over time.
Yeah. I don't know if he can hear us, but did Jose just join at the very end? Jose, are you here?
Just joined, sorry.
That's great. So we just wrapped up, but everybody's still here, so this is perfect timing. You guys all have the Jose. Can you put your video on?
Give me 1 second. Let me try.
Oh, this is wonderful.
Here we are.
Let's see.
Hello.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
Okay. So
That's not in the Amazon.
It is on the way to Iquitos.
oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
We have some other guests here. Andy.
Awesome.
Pete.
In real time.
Hello, everyone.
So Jose, you know, we've got a bunch of people here on your screen. If you swiped over to the left, you'd see everybody here. But you know, in respect to the fact that we've just spent an hour together, and we're probably going to have you come back next month. You know, maybe just share a little bit before we lose you of what's going on with Arkana, and you know what direction it's moving into. Got a lot of your family here.
Well, these are very exciting times for us in Arkana. We recently bought a piece of land in Costa Rica because we're looking to expand and take the medicine to other places. And so we found this beautiful piece of land in Costa Rica where we're going to be building what I believe is going to be the best, you know, venue in the world for ayahuasca. It's and you know, it's something that's very relevant to this call. We're actually planning on building an integration village in Costa Rica, because we believe that it's really important. As you all know, you know, more than 50% of the work is actually integration, And sometimes when people finish the retreat, they're not ready to go home, but at the same time, they're not ready to do more ayahuasca. So we believe that, there's a space that's needed, considered a transition space where you can actually, learn other stuff and transition back into daily life. And I'm referring to things like topics of health, nutrition, art, music, permaculture. And at the same time, people bring their skills to that community that they can share with others, and they can teach different things they know. So, that's going to be a part of that. And it's going to be open to just about anyone, not only people from Arkana, but just everybody that wants to come and live in this community. So that's what's keeping me busy these days. We're getting to the design stage, and we really want to do something very special.
Well, you have a mix of a bunch of people here that have been one or more times to see you, so they're very excited to see you. So we'll have to come back next month for sure. But then you also have people here that we've got a guy named Frank that's going to be with you in 2 weeks. That he's excited.
Awesome. Hi, Frank. Excellent.
So
Looking forward to meeting you, Jose.
Likewise, Frank.
Billy, did you want to say anything to Jose? You're going to see him soon. I don't know how to close it out because we just opened it at the close. You're muted, Billy.
Yeah, that was you. Muted me. No, what I have to say, I love you. I love him. He knows I love him. And Frank, you won't see him because he's going to Jose will be in the jungle, most likely, not the Sacred Valley. So you probably won't see him. But I will say, like, he's for anybody who doesn't know this, you probably all know this, but Jose is obviously the founder and owner of Arkana. And if you have any questions about anything, actually, like somebody left a testimonial once, and it said he's part business owner, part shaman, and he knows everything about the business itself, but also about this world, the world of medicine and everything around it. But he's a very open person, like heart-led person. So if any of you have any questions or anything that you need, or Frank, if you have any questions, although you won't see him, reach out to him and he'll be more than happy to help you in any way that you need.
Yeah, you can definitely reach me on my personal email. It's jose@arkanainternational.com, and I'm happy to answer any questions via email, or we can even set up, like one-on-one calls. I'm available for you guys.
And I'll tell you that when I was in my contemplative phase, somebody said, "Oh yeah, you can just email the guy that owns the place and he'll talk to you." And I had like a 30-40 minute talk with this guy before I even came there. And I just remember I had so many questions with my analytical mind, and his response was like, "Yeah, if you want to come, just come." It was like, so I just absolutely love you, Jose. But we have so many plans for this in conjunction with what you're doing. So, we hope that we'll find a way to next month get you in a good internet where we could really deep dive. These are all wonderful people that, are going to be coming back, but also want to do this good work. So we're so excited. Does anybody, just because we're here, does anybody have a question for Jose? I mean, before he gets disconnected? I mean, let's take advantage of it. Does anybody want to say something to him or ask a question before we close out? How many times do you get to talk to Jose?
I saw a question from Greer in the chat, which says, when does the integration village open?
Oh yeah.
That's we're planning on trying to open the center by 2025. So we'll probably be looking at maybe early 2026, because it's a lot of work to put this kind of project together.
And I can almost guarantee that it's going to happen with this guy at the realm. So anyway, guys, thanks so much. If those folks in your car are on their way to the jungle, you know, have an amazing experience with everybody. Just know that on the other side, we have a community that Arkana is, you know, helping people get together and keep the community going and integrate. So you guys will have access to that. All thanks to Jose. But guys, love and appreciate you all. Billy, thanks so much for staying up till 3 a.m. And I'll have to thank also Valeria for allowing that to happen as well, because she's right next to you. But love and appreciate you guys. We will reach out, get in the Facebook group. We're going to create a communication for all of you guys to keep this group together. If you have people that are interested in learning about Arkana, invite them to these as well, especially next month if Jose is going to be here. But love and appreciate you all. You know, keep doing the good work, and we'll see you next time. Thanks so much.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
That